All right, so I'm going to show you the second part of your exercise or just practice. Sorry, I just want to open up. My tools were open actually. Which would be using the type tool. So there are a few different ways that you can use the type tool, and I've showed you this before, so this will just be a refresher for you. But right now you should have your layer with your person. You should also have your layer with your value study of where you're going to place your different values. Okay, you don't have to keep that on. You could actually just use your picture of your portrait. The value study is just really for you to understand, where you're going to place things. If you have a good idea, you could just turn that on and off to see, okay, like where am I going to put information? And then you can get started with your text. So there are a few different ways you can you could type in here. You can type like you would standard type, where you do horizontal or vertical type, but you can also shape things around the lovely pen tool. So I'm going to show you a few ways you can use the pen tool and also the shape tool. Okay, so let's say that I just wanted to create a path to write on using the pen tool. I can go to my pen tool and create a path by clicking from left to right, and then I can type on it. So if I go to my type tool, again, it will read that it's on the path when you see that little squiggly line. So if I click and then type, so I'm going to type Johnny Depp's name. And right now it's in some sort of a scripted font, which is pretty, so I'll use it. And again, you can change the size of it up here. You can change the color depending on what you want to do and so forth. And you can also space it, which I'll get into in a little bit as well, but I'm not going to do that right now. Okay. So now I have my type, but I can, where's my, there we go. I can use my direct selection tool to move it. So if I use my direct selection tool, I can click on my points and I can move Johnny Depp. Now I can also add points. So going to my add anchor point, you can add and delete. I can add points using my direct selection tool. I can change it and distort it, right? And then your points come with what we call anchor bars, which you can rotate and skew depending on what you're doing, right? So that's one way that you can shape something. So to kind of put that into this image to kind of show you exactly how to apply it to the project, how would you do that? Let's say I wanted to type along his lips. Okay, I can create a path by clicking from left to right, and then I can add my anchor points where necessary. So wherever there's a change in shape, so I might say there's going to be changes in shape all throughout here, and then I'm going to use my direct selection tool to kind of place them. So I might add 2 more. So now I have this path that's on the outline of his lip, and I can add my text. So I'm going to write Johnny Depp. And I'll write, let's write his name again. And then, you can resize it. So if I feel like that's too big, because that is a small area, I might resize it smaller. I can take, I think I wrote John, so I'm going to finish up his name. I can even take this and I can copy it. Maybe I'm going to paste it again to fill in that space. Maybe it still is a little bit too big. Maybe I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to paste his name again. And maybe I want to space some stuff out. So maybe I'm going to go to my character bar, which is important because remember you can space, look closely at the kerning, the spacing. So maybe from left to right or up and down, I'm going to space the text. So maybe I'm going to make it a little bit further apart to fill in more of that space. So now I have the text that's overlapping this area. So if you take it off, you can see that I have that text there, right? Another way that you can use text is by using shapes to fill in an area. So let's say that I wanted to fill in his eyeball. Maybe I'm going to take a circle and I'm going to create my circle. Making sure, okay, so notice that that circle has a outline around it. So your shapes come with, in fact, I made a shape, so I don't want to do that. What I want to do actually, if you go up to your shape tool, you can create shapes, you can create pixels and a path. We're creating paths, so you don't want to create shapes, you want to create paths. So I'm going to change that to path. So when I create my circle, it's not going to allow me to choose an outline or fill it in with a color. It's just going to create a line around it, which I can fill with text. So again, if I go back to my type tool and I can type on the outside, but I can also type on the inside. So typing on the outside will create that curved line, and in the inside will create a circle around it. Right, so now I know I can type in there, but this is really big. Whoops, it's really big. I'm just going to move that eyeball. Font. So maybe I'm going to make it about 8 points again. Okay. Let's see. It's just a little bit slow right now. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so here's the thing too. My spacing up and down is really far apart. But I want to make it look like a block of information. So maybe I'm going to make the spacing closer to one another. It's not doing anything. Let's try this again. So we're going to change the spacing to like 6 so that it's really close, and we're going to make the text like 6 so that it's really small. So when we type in here, I'm just typing gibberish right now. You can't see it because it's my computer's just slow. All right, so you can see it's actually building up along the top over here. So as you fill it, and I'm sure you know this because you've done it before, it will type and then it will kind of move itself and adjust itself up to the top. So you can see that it's lining itself up slowly because it's just really, the computer's very slow right now. Okay. Right, so you can see that the text is now filling into that circular area. I don't really want to fill it in anymore. I feel like it's just being really slow, so I'm not going to fill it in all the way, but you can fill in that text into that space. So if I were going to, let's say that I filled in that entire circle, I could move this and make it small enough to fit within that space to fill into his eyeball, right? So if I turn the picture on and off, you can see that it's starting to fill into that space. And again, I would do probably the whole eyeball, but right at this moment, it's being slow for some reason, so I'll show you more in class. Another thing that I want you to pay attention to is even just the color that you're using, or the shade that you're using, or tone. So if you look here, I decided that I was going to fill in all this space with like a darker value, but then I also have these lighter values here. So I might take a shape and make a shape right here and fill it in with like a grayish value. So instead of the text being black, it's going to be gray. And same with maybe his lips and so forth. So like I could take, you know, this shape again, and I could place it over his cheekbones. So I'm going to position this as such. Use my anchor bars to kind of move it around. In fact, I might turn this off and just use his face. So the more you pull the anchor bars in, the closer those lines will get together. Okay. The further you pull them apart, the more curved those lines will be. So I kind of like the way that looks, but I might add another point here. So now I took that circle and I kind of shaped it into what would possibly be his cheekbone. So now I can go and type text into here. I might just fill in gibberish. Right now it's slowly again processing all the information, but it's at 6 points, and the spacing is at 6 points. So again, my computer is just being very slow. But you can see that the cursor is typing in information, but it's just not showing it. I'm not sure why my computer is running so slow. It might be because I have other things open on it. But what I could do is, once this text fills in to this space, instead of it being black, because right now it's going to fill in as the color black, I might change it to a lighter value, like a middle gray value or lighter gray value. Other things I want you to pay close attention to are, you know, the spacing, the size between your text. Maybe the text in my background area is going to be a lot bigger than the text within some of these smaller detailed areas. Even the type of font that you use. Like, so for instance, maybe you're going to use a variety of fonts. The font that you see here is very scripted. Maybe, I don't know why it's all these little things are coming up, but maybe I would use, you know, these scripted fonts for like hair, right, or eyelashes or something, and then use a simpler font for other areas. All right, so these are all things that you want to think about. So maybe I'm going to make this like this color. So when I go to, and I didn't fill the whole thing in, and I don't know, oh, there we go. So now when I go to turn this off, you can see that I have text that's gray and I have text that's not gray. Obviously, this does not look like Johnny Depp by any means at this point, but there are just different ways that you can go about filling in space. I do also have a tutorial, like a step-by-step visual tutorial that you can look at. There's a link on the site, and it will be, it should be right under this video link. So I would definitely look at that as well.